6, go ahead, last 2. All the way down. 7, good, press out, last 1.
All right, so what did that look like to you? Well, there's a lot going on there, right? So did it look like an athlete doing a push-up? Did it look like an athlete who was struggling with a push-up? I'm Eric Chessen, founder of Autism Fitness, and as always, there is a nuance. There are questions to be answered, and those answers are going to bring about more questions, but I'm here to bring some clarity to this. So this is one of my teenage athletes performing a modified variation of an incline push-up in one of our fitness programs. Now, if you know anything about Autism Fitness, you know that we have 3 different levels of exercise performance. We have standard, that's where the athlete can complete that exercise independently with very few, if any, additional cues or prompts whatsoever, with sufficient motor control for a specific amount of sets and repetitions. That means volume, so that the athlete actually is getting a training effect where the exercise is helping them to get stronger, develop better motor patterning, and transcend or generalize those skills beyond the gym. One of the things that I have changed over the last few years, not necessarily taken completely away, is the concept of errorless learning. So errorless learning is a concept in applied behavior analysis where we want the learner, or in our case with Autism Fitness, we want the athlete to come into contact or practice the correct performance of that particular skill. So rather than allow the athlete the margin or the space to do it incorrectly, not from a judgment perspective, but performing the skill with some type of compromise, it's a way to have the athlete or the learner immediately meet success and be familiarized with how to perform something correctly. One of the things that I have learned, and this is really important if you are implementing fitness programs for any population, but particularly for the autism and neurodivergent population, is there is going to be a significant amount of variation in how well a particular athlete performs a particular exercise. And what we really are after is having the athlete perform that exercise within the Goldilocks zone of correct technique or optimal technique. Because the reality is that from rep to rep, we're never really, well, I'll take that back. Sometimes we'll see perfection where we can say that rep could not possibly get any better. It exists. However, we're probably going to see some variation from rep to rep, or maybe the first 3 or 4 repetitions look really good, and then the 4th and 5th falter a little bit, and we need to add in a cue. So with standard, we're looking for the athlete to be consistent. Then we have our progression. That's easy, where we make the exercise more challenging, typically adding more repetitions or adding resistance. It's really easy with strength training. And then we have modification. So most of the world in which we exist from the perspective of training programs for our autism and neurodivergent athletes is going to be in modification, a simplified or slightly easier version of that exercise so that it is still delivering a training effect for our athlete. However, it is not inviting muscular compensation or the form of the exercise breaking down. Why is this so important with respect to our decision-making process and in reviewing or observing an athlete either performing the exercise or watching the video back later? Well, I want you to watch the video again. So watch this athlete doing push-ups, and then we're going to pull it apart a little bit.
3, 4, good position. 5, 6, go ahead, last 2. All the way down. 7, good, press out, last 1. Good range there, sir.
All right, so you've had a chance to watch. Maybe you've even jotted down some mental or actual notes. There are a few things. Now, is the athlete performing this exercise to standard? You'll notice that on that incline push-up, he is pushing more back than he is up. So the first question that we have to answer is whether or not this is safe. Is it safe? Yes, it's not putting any undue stress on the joints. His back is not going into extreme flexion. And typically what we see with an athlete when the form is breaking down with a push-up, we see them going into extension. And that's just not happening for this athlete. But he's doing what a lot of our neurodivergent athletes do, which is pushing back rather than up. And this is indicative of a deviation of kinesthetic awareness. Can he feel the movement out, and the way that it is supposed to be performed is a little bit different than his experience of it. And that's evident in the way that he's performing the push-up, because it's also an issue of path of least resistance. It's easier physically to push back. It probably feels more natural to push back than to push up on that angle. Not only is it easier, our natural inclination, unless we know exactly why we're doing this push-up, is to push back away off the box or the bench instead of pushing up. So what do we do with this right now? Here's the thing, because we are in between phases of this exercise. What do I mean by that? Well, he's too advanced to perform the modified variation of this push-up, which might be knees on the floor and just pushing up with the upper body. But you can see, again, he's not yet. He's getting close. There are a couple reps that look good. He's not at the point where he can do the full incline push-up on that like 45-degree angle there. That's not happening just yet. So we can keep him for in the meantime for that in that position. And here is the key. And this is where it comes into coaching and cueing and using the right phrasing and the right words at the right time so that this athlete begins to perform the exercise better. Every instance in which he is getting closer to pushing himself up on that angle, we are going to provide reinforcement that is specific. So we're getting back to one of the fundamental practices in autism fitness programming, behavior-specific praise. So every time he is pushing up on more of an angle, awesome push-up, that looked great, your back was super straight, you got your chest all the way down to the box, that looked awesome. So we want to reinforce exactly what that athlete is doing correctly so that there is a greater likelihood. It may not have an immediate and overwhelming effect, but slowly those reps are going to improve over time. Now, the other thing is he needs to develop that kinesthetic awareness, that mind-muscle connection of where's his body when he's doing that push-up, because he may not be making the distinction just yet between pushing up on that angle and pushing back. So one is pushing up, so that would be the standard performance of that push-up, and the other one is pushing back. That's where he's at right now. Again, not harmful, beneficial. He's still getting shoulder and upper back strength out of it, definitely some trunk stability. It's just not exactly where we want it yet. So here's the thing, coming back to the premise of errorless learning and why sometimes we want to use it in our autism fitness programming and sometimes we want to hold off. If the athlete is still working out, no pun intended, working out their capability with that particular exercise, then errorless learning is not really going to have a real meaningful place to use. It's probably going to be more frustrating for, number one, the athlete, and then for us. But we want to reinforce the reps that look better than the other reps. And that ultimately is going to be an educated judgment call on the part of the coach. Like, what is this athlete's current best baseline capability, and can we reinforce them on that? Because if 7 out of 10 of those push-up reps look really good and there's no major compensation, again, they're going into extreme flexion or extreme extension, and these are things that are really important to know. We teach them in the Autism Fitness Pro curriculum. If they're not going into one of those contraindicated movement patterns, and if they're not compensating for more than one rep in a sequence, then 7 out of 10 is good. 8 out of 10 is definitely better, but we're going to need some time and practice for the athlete to get to the point where they can discriminate or distinguish between doing a good rep and the rep that is off by a little bit. So that's going to take practice on their part and our coaching input and providing the appropriate support and feedback for that athlete. So is the push-up where it absolutely can be? Yet, no, we're working it out, and that's going to take the athlete's physical capability, their level of motivation, so their adaptive capability, and of course, from a cognitive perspective, not only understanding the expectation, but being able to execute that motor pattern, because we have the neurological functioning, and then we have our neuromuscular functioning, which is kinesthetic awareness and the ability to sequence that motor pattern as well. All three, and that brings us to our PAC profile. So all three of those are accounted for: physical, adaptive, and cognitive. So is this push-up perfect just yet? No. Is he in the space beyond, modified but before standard? Yeah, and we can live here. We can progress here. The key is better over time, and having the athlete perform the exercise in a way that is going to strengthen their capability right now, and us giving them the feedback that is going to continue to build up that skill, all right? And have the athlete develop the confidence in their ability to do so. So I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to see your athlete videos. Video analysis is a very powerful tool, particularly when we're working with our autism and neurodivergent athletes. And if you're ready to become an Autism Fitness Pro, go to autismfitness.com. You can download the course syllabus and learn all about how you can join the Movement for Movement. I am Autism Fitness founder Eric Chessen, leading that movement for movement. Thank you very much for watching. Again, please definitely subscribe, and I'll see you next time.